Hi, my case is on race and gender based discrimination. My case represents a case of education discrimination based on the bias of race and gender. Wendy's case is in violation of Title 9 and 4 of the Civil Rights Acts. Wendy's case, Wendy is a 12-year-old girl who wants to play soccer during gym class and for her school team. During gym class, she is faced with stereotypical comments stating because she is Hispanic, she's too good to play with the rest of her classmates because it would be unfair to them. Wendy goes to report this incident to her teacher, Miss Miller, and Miss Miller agrees with the rest of the students and states soccer is a boys' sport and that she should instead play volleyball. Wendy goes home and tells her mom what happened. Initially, the mom goes to Mr. Jones, the principal, and tells what happened, and he informs her that it won't happen again. A week later, Wendy comes home, and she informs her mom that Miss Miller did not let her try out for the school's soccer team because it would be unfair to the rest of her classmates. Wendy's mom initially took the case to court because she felt that Miss Miller's actions violated Title 9 and 4. So the initial communication is kind of directed towards Wendy's parents and Wendy. As public educators, we are legally obligated in so far as incident reporting. Therefore, an investigation from the school and district's administration is underway to solve the race and gender discrimination Wendy experienced from her classmates and teachers. We understand that the students' and teachers' comments were unacceptable, as well as Miss Miller's refusal of letting Wendy try out for the school soccer team. Ms. Miller's actions do not align with our values of inclusivity, success, and equality. For that reason, Ms. Miller will no longer work with our school district. Every student involved with the incident will also face consequences. We would like to meet with the parents of Wendy and Wendy to discuss and agree on a plan for Wendy. It is highly encouraged for Wendy to meet with the school psychologist to make sure Wendy's mental health and well-being is okay. So with that one, I did include how the school will kind of deal with the actions of the teacher who um, discriminated against the student and kind of what will happen with the students who participated. So identifying bias and iniquities, Ms. Miller's comments and actions seem to be rooted from explicit biases and stereotypes towards the Hispanic community. She also expressed gender stereotypes. In Wendy's case, it states she prevents Wendy from participating in soccer because she wants it to be fair for all students. Because she excluded Wendy, this caused gym class to and all sports to be unequal because her actions and words are deeply rooted in stereotypes. Perspective. So from Miss Miller's perspective, we can understand that she failed to report an incident when Wendy came to her, and she kind of just instead of correcting the student's behavior, she kind of encouraged it because she did not let Wendy try for sports, and then in class she told her to try another sport. And then for the principal, Mr. Jones, his perspective was he just kind of gave a false statement. We don't really know if he did talk to the teacher or try to solve it, but as far as we know, he did not. From Wendy's perspective, we understand that she experienced discrimination from her teacher and classmates. Wendy's mother was seeking justice and wanted to make sure her daughter received an equal education. Students did not allow Wendy to participate in the game and made stereotypical comments. So a few outcomes that I really think for this case would work would be having two teams for the school soccer team, an entry level and a higher level. I think this will make for teams to be fair and it includes everybody regardless of their experience. And then for gym class, I would think multiple groups like where they can rotate, and so it's not like students are getting upset on who's on their team and who's not. Some challenges and opportunities. So this is a really great challenge for teachers to educate students on stereotypes and bias. And then for even teachers can take this as a learning experience and really reflect their actions when they think about maybe this discrimination, or maybe in their school kind of look at the way others teachers may act. A challenge that could possibly come up would be parents reflecting their bias through their children. This could be really difficult to tackle in a classroom. So immediate and long-term solutions. So immediately would be addressing and stopping the coverings, make sure Wendy is okay, and stop the exclusion. Long-term is again addressing all comments, consequences, educating students, and reassuring the student is okay mentally and physically, and contacting parents, and also creating a plan for the student, because although it might have happened a week ago and they seem okay, we don't know how deeply that could have affected them. So, kind of my deconstruct and transform plan would be Wendy's voice is the one that matters, as well as her mother because she stood up for her. Purpose to avoid future discrimination based on gender, race, create an inclusive classroom with possibilities and success for all. Barriers, personal bias, and stereotypes could be stemmed from incorrect representations of groups and misinformation spread. That's why I believe it's super important to educate students on cultures, inspire all genders to succeed, and inclusivity. Transformation. Educate students on bias, say there are consequences, teachers are role models of wanted behavior. That is something I really stand for. Groups resources, groups for students who have dealt with discrimination, counselor meeting, personal plans, and new policies. Intended impact, teachers addressing and holding students accountable, safe place and or person for students to report any incidents. So the action plan, because I do believe that in this case that the right thing to do would be fire the teacher because she did fail to report it. I think that we should focus a little bit more on the students because they were the ones making stereotypical comments, um, which could affect a lot, which could affect someone deeply. I think that the students should be suspended for 3 days to really reflect on their comments and actions. They should apologize to Wendy, and they should be educated most importantly because to prevent it from happening to other students, as well as have a meeting with the counselor and the students' parents to really maybe see if this is a bias that could be parents passing it down. Um, yeah. So because this case could have really affected Wendy's mental health and had doubted her academic and sports abilities, I think that it would be best for Wendy to see a counselor and just have staff and teachers who really support her and want her to succeed in sports. I think that a solution kind of regarding the sports aspect, the teams, would be having new tryouts. So it would be fair to everyone because it is a different coach. And yeah, and so for mental health, again, it would be visiting the counselor. Yeah. For some strategies, kind of like I mentioned before, teachers are advocates and are advocates for inclusive practices and cultures. So some ways to educate students would be workshops, open conversation where they can ask freely like questions that might be like that they might be scared of because it could maybe they think it could maybe offend someone. So having these open conversations will allow for students to feel comfortable to really ask clarifying questions where they can ask even if maybe they're not sure if a stereotype is really what they think about certain people, so that they could clear that up and kind of remove any bias and stuff to prevent future discrimination, as well as culture days. I think those would be a really fun way to include students' culture so they can be proud of it and represent it, but also to educate students, and in school assemblies where they can directly address what's going on and kind of work together as a school. And activities, clubs for mental health, multiple different teams at different levels. I think that one would kind of work out in the sports aspect, and in cluster culture. So it's not just, oh, we only celebrate it these days, but instead it's kind of a daily thing in a student's life. So people responsible, teachers, counselors, psychologists, principals, and other staff in the school to make sure that these are inclusive and safe places for all students. Evaluation. So training for teachers, check up on students who have been affected, and surveys how students feel at their school after discrimination. I think that was really important, just so staff kind of knows, or counselors know how to address what's going on. So my final communication would be to Wendy's parents would be a direct apology and kind of inform parents exactly what happened, because although maybe they might feel that they're not getting the answers they wanted because of what happened with the principal. So I think that just going over it with them and kind of explaining it what happened would be really helpful. It could also be very hard for Wendy to talk about it to her parents. So I think that if the school um, disclosed what happened, I think it would be very helpful for both to kind of make a plan for Wendy. And then for the school, it would be kind of informing that there was discrimination and they have taken care of it, so other students feel that they could also report it and feel that their voice is heard. And then it's kind of going a little bit over that the best approach is to reschedule trials for the girls soccer team and kind of what they value, equality and fair treatment for all their students, and post mental health resources outside the counselor's office for any other students who may feel that or face discrimination and we're afraid to report it. I think that that's kind of a way that could also help students. And yeah, and then it does inform that there is a new coach and gym teacher because and consequences, because I think it's very important for students to know what could happen and kind of really think before they speak or do something. So yeah, that was my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.